Bonjour and welcome into the cave. My guest today is the kind of person that makes you think, I want to be her when I grow up. Extremely talented, strong and kind, someone who shows both vulnerability and resilience. She took on the hard task of joining a well-established band and somehow made it her space with grace, not pushing anyone aside, just proving that she belongs there and is exactly where she needs to be. She's been part of this scene for over a decade, and I'm really excited to learn more about her journey. Jessie of Dream State is here with me today. Hi, Jessie.
Hi, how's it going?
Very well, and you?
That was the most beautiful introduction I've ever had. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm glad you like it, but it comes from the heart. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you. Super kind.
in this episode, we are going through your journey as an artist,
Yeah.
and I've seen that it started quite early as you spent your youth in singing choirs.
Yes. Catholic. So any Catholic will know, especially here in England, if you go to a Catholic school, you sing in the morning, sing at lunch, sing at night. Then you've got church and choir practice. So yeah, I've been singing honestly since I was about 4 years old, all the way through up till now, really. So a very long time.
So, can you tell me a bit more about Jessie at that time before she joined bands?
I mean, I have been in a band a very long time, since my early teens. So, the first decade of my life, I was always in the choir, or I was always in some sort of performance at stage school, doing some sort of pantomime or show. Spent a lot of my childhood on stage or in a choir practice or rehearsals. So before bands came around, I was always singing as a kid, and then I started fronting bands in my early teens. I've been in multiple bands before Dream State, and then I had a bit of time out, just because I'd spent so long doing music. I spent so long doing it. I took some time out to do normal things like get married and buy a house and stuff like that, travel more with friends and my husband, and then the opportunity, the Dream State came around about 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and here I am now fronting Dream State.
And congratulations on that because
Oh, thank you.
this role is perfect for you.
Thank you. I think so too.
From what I understood, you also, before Dream State, you were in a band called Aurora. Who also,
Yes, Aurora. Yeah, I loved Aurora. It was very metalcore.
yeah, yeah, actually, I didn't know this band before, and when I listened to it, it took me back instantly to 2010, 2012.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I love that band. I did that for a long time, quite successfully. We were signed off our first gig, and we did some really cool things. I think that just unfortunately came to a bit of an end, because everyone just, as every year went past, we just kept giving it everything we could, and we just weren't, it just didn't feel like we were growing how we wanted to. And I think people just started to get a bit resentful of it, really. So before that, I was in a band called Never Says the Storm, and then I used to be in a band called like Taylor Bay. So I've done quite a few different projects, but performing live has only been about 3 bands.
Mm-hmm. And were they all in this alternative metal genre?
Yeah, much. So I'd say Aurora was much heavier than Dream State.
Mm-hmm.
Aurora was more on the metalcore side of things, and Never Says the Storm was quite poppy. We did a few covers in that band as well, and the band before that was actually pop punk, kind of punky, like more like shouty kind of music. So I feel like my dream was to always front like a death metal band. Like I've always wanted to be in like a really heavy death metal band, really high screams and low gutturals. And then I've landed in Dream State. I definitely feel like I bring a much heavier side of myself into Dream State,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it was heavy before, but I think just naturally I'm more of a heavier singer. So it's kind of played into the new sound of Dream State.
Yeah. And we will talk about dream states a bit later, but
Sure.
Also, we'll talk about your time in Aurora and about a few songs that you wrote there.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the song Pressure, we can
Mm.
hear you sing, "Pressure is taking over again. I can take much more of this."
Yeah.
And at that moment of your life, what did pressure look like for you?
Well, I was in my early 20s and we played one gig with a band called Feed the Rhino back in the day. We played one show and we got signed straight off that gig, and it went from us all being good friends, spending our Saturdays jamming, having fun, to it all of a sudden becoming like,
Mm-hmm.
oh gosh, we've got to, there's an expectation now of getting a record done, and it just, the pressure weighed heavy on me. So I wrote a song about how I felt at that time, which is where pressure came to light. It just felt like a lot of pressure. So that's where that song came from. I think just having like all the things on me, like a full-time job, being a girlfriend, spending time with family, trying to grow the band, trying to make sure that we were keeping the label happy. It just felt like I was spinning a lot of plates, like I'm sure every musician feels.
Mm-hmm.
And I was young. I was really young. My priorities were different then. You know, my priorities in my 20s were living for Friday and Saturday night, going out with my friends. So trying to juggle everything in. We'd have band practices like all day Saturday, like 10 till 4. Then we'd go home, get changed, and go out and go into town and party. So yeah, that's where pressure came from. How I felt at the time in the band.
But it all came pretty quickly. So you think about this is like your goal as a band when you started, but I guess you
Yeah.
didn't expect it to go so.
No, I mean, I've always wanted to be in a successful band, so I was so excited, and we were all so grateful when we did get the opportunity. But I guess, yeah, you don't expect to play one show and someone approach you and be like, "Hey, at the time, the record label we signed to, they'd had like bands like Architects, Silosis, Gallows. So they'd had like big people on their roster, even like Feed the Rhino, who
Mhm.
we'd just played with. When we looked at all the people they'd worked with, we were like, wow, we're kids at this point. I think the youngest member of Aurora was like 17.
Oh, yeah.
So we were young, and it just all felt very exciting. But we didn't have a manager or a booking agent, so a lot of that admin sort of fell onto myself, doing the booking and like the day-to-day management of it all, as well as writing, I guess, as well.
And how did you manage, if you managed to contain this pressure?
Looking back now in my 20s, I don't really know how I did it. I think we just partied, we just sort of like worked hard, and then went out and clubbed and enjoyed ourselves. There's no real way I can say how back then I didn't really have a strategy. Yeah, looking back now in my early 20s, I don't really know how I got through it. I just sort of did. It was like sink or swim, and I just threw everything into it. Just get through it day by day. I didn't really have a strategy or anything in my youth. I
Hmm.
think maybe having the Saturday night out with my friends took a temporary load off my mind, perhaps. When you're out drinking the shots and the cocktails and having a dance, it probably felt like that was my way of getting through it at that time.
Yeah, sometimes I also think back at the beginning of when I was working. Well, I was never in a band, but I'm wondering how did I just.
Exist.
Yeah, and how did I manage to fake it until I made it when now
Yeah,
it would feel impossible for me to do it?
absolutely. No, I completely echo that. I think it's mad. We look back at what we did in our teens and our 20s, and I'm like, God, how did we do that? So, yeah, we should be really proud of ourselves.
Is it how you look at Jessie at that time? Are you proud of her?
I am actually, yeah. I think I've always been quite a fearless character. Like, I've always been that sort of person where, once upon a time I wanted to be a model, and I had I ended up being a model. One time I wanted to front a rock band, and I'm fronting a rock band. One time I wanted a certain promotion at work, and I got the promotion at work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm maybe like one of those people that if it lights sort of like a fire in my soul, I'm unstoppable with what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So I am proud of her because, like I say, we were so young, we didn't have a team to guide us. And I look at the things we've achieved thanks to like connections we had and people wanted to help us. And we did some really cool festivals. Like we got like a real last minute slot at Slam Dunk
Mm-hmm.
thanks to some friends at Uproar. We did like Takedown, Butzer Fest. You know, we did some really cool things. I played with Let Live and got to sing with
Oh.
Jason Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And that all happened just by me approaching him and being like, hey, come watch my band. You know, I was so hungry in my 20s to be a successful artist. So yeah, I look back at that girl. Whilst I don't recognise her, I am really proud of her because if I didn't do the things I did with so much confidence, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be here today. You know, I have my own company now where I provide band consultancy services. So bands come to me for advice. You know, they might not have a manager or a label or a booking agent. You know, being in a position now, decades later, where I can help other bands have that support that I didn't, and teach singing and screaming is such a privilege. So everything I've done over the last couple of decades is just crazy to look at where I am now, fronting the size band that I want to, and also have my own company within music. It's just crazy. And I put that all down to what I did in my younger days. If I hadn't got all that like knowledge and experience, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
Looks like you live by the motto. I say that from myself. I actually don't know if we say that in English. Closed mouth don't get fed. So if you don't ask,
Yeah.
you will not get anything.
Oh yeah, I live by that motto. I'm always like, I still say it now in Dream State. Sometimes I do certain things that I know make the band cringe. At one point, we had no booking agent, no manager, no record label, so I would go out there and put myself out there, and the band would always cringe, but it would pay off. And I think exactly what you've just said. If you don't ask, then you don't get. So I have no shame reading the room. You know, if the opportunity feels right, I would always encourage people to go for something that's scary because 9 times out of 10, people will really respect your confidence with it if it's delivered correctly.
This is a good reminder for everyone listening. Just ask.
Absolutely. 100%. And I love what you said there. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get, because that is exactly how I live by today with everything.
Still in pressure, you think they said we'll never make it, too late to even try. When you were starting with Aurora, did you feel more like you had to prove people wrong?
Oh my God, yeah. Like back then, female fronted, I hate
Mm-hmm.
that term, but female fronted were few and far between. Like, obviously, you had like your Paramours and your big bands, had like Rolo Tomasi, Marmozets, but when I would play shows or festivals, if there was a festival with 20 bands on, it's not like today where there'd be like 10 girls, there was like one or two.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would get put in a box all the time. Often there would be an assumption I was like the girlfriend that was just there for the day, you know, and the words there, I think, like, you know, too late to even try. I truly believe when I was in my 20s, I had a conversation with a management team that I was very interested in, and they were concerned because I was in my, I think I was like 23, and they were a bit like, oh, you know, or, you know, we're kind of looking to work with people a bit younger. And I'm thinking, back then, I was 23 and I was being told almost, you know, you're not 19, or not by everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I got the impression from certain people I had conversations with that I was getting too old, and that perhaps, you know, mid 20s and onwards, you've passed it kind of thing. And again, I say that lightly, that wasn't every conversation I had.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I wrote that is because I felt like I was being written off because I wasn't like 18,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'd been trying to make it since I was 18. But now I can wholeheartedly say that it's not quite where it needs to be, but it is such a breath of fresh air that I'm, you know, 10 years older than that, and I'm not being told well, not to my face, no one's saying you're too old, but like you have artists like Rory, you have like Lake Malice, late, 30s, Rory's in her 40s. It's just a lot more common now for women to be doing what I'm doing and being in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And Rory's in her 40s and she's dominating the scene.
Yeah.
So it's you've got Marmozets who've just come back. Good friends with Becca, and she's in her 30s with a child. Just announced she's pregnant again, and I just think that's just so exciting for a woman in the industry to know that it's not over for me because I'm 30, in my 30s, or potentially one day going to have a family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, well, us ladies have had a tough ride.
And it's so sad to say that, because being in a band can get very physical, but it's not like you're in sports and your body is gonna not be
Yeah.
strong enough, and you
I'd
can.
say I'm probably the strongest I've ever been
Yeah.
now. I'm mentally and physically the strongest I've ever been. Like, might be a couple of stone heavier than what I was in my early teens, but I feel the most mentally and physically strong I ever have. Age is just a number, and I really, really like to echo that to anyone listening, that if you have any thoughts in your mind that you want to start a project but you're in your 30s, I didn't join Dream State till I was like in my 30s, and here I am. So just go for it.
Also, for women, I feel like they have to be the best at what they do to work,
Yeah,
when men
yeah.
can be okay.
I would say so. Like, I know, whether I'm speaking for myself here or multiple women I know in the scene, there are so many talented women out there who are just much better than a lot of the people on the lineups. But yeah, I still think there's some work to be done. But again, I have to say, coming back to the scene 10 years on, it's so much better than it was. So much better. And I definitely don't feel like too old at all, because I'm definitely not the oldest person doing what I'm doing. So
Hmm.
that's nice, and how it should be.
Yeah. And did you also manage to surround yourself with people who did not think like that? Or did you really have to push to show that you belong here?
Oh, I think I've been quite lucky. Feel like I've come back and just done my thing, and it's, as far as I'm aware, been quite well received. So I don't feel like I've had to like shove it down people's throats too much. I think it's just been what it is. No, I don't feel that way this time round. I feel like I've just come back and the reception's been really
Hmm.
lovely, and I've been very welcomed. And so yeah.
That's good to hear. We also talked about it a bit, but when Aurora started getting traction, and as we said, pretty quickly, was there something that you could have never expected that would be being in a band, something that you were not prepared for at all?
Back in Aurora, I guess I learned very quickly it's quite a fickle industry. You can be flavour of the week one day, and then you can be like completely forgotten the next week. So I think I learned very quickly in the industry that to take everything with a pinch of salt, expect nothing and appreciate everything, is probably something I take away from my journey in earlier bands.
Hmm. Also, in Easily Broken, you sing so softly spoken, she's easily broken. Is
Yeah.
that something that people were saying about you, or that you were thinking about yourself?
I can't remember top of my head. It was so long ago that I wrote that. So long ago. I can't remember, but I actually think it was about somebody, that I was writing a song from their perspective. So I
Mm.
don't think it was about me. I think, looking back, I think that was about somebody else, perhaps their journey, and I was writing about it from seeing it through my own lens.
Hmm. If you could go back now and meet Jessie at that time and tell her about Jessie now, what do you think she would be surprised to learn about?
God, Jessie now, like Jessie, if you'd have told teenage Jessie that one day you're going to get to play with like Funeral for a Friend in a castle and an arena. You're going to have the Used come and watch you play, and Bert McCracken speaks about you in every interview that gets aired publicly by like Kerrang and Rock Sound. And they watch you side stage. You get to sing with Jason Butler again. You get to play main stage Slam Dunk, download. I think what I'd tell teenage me who wanted it so badly, I'd have told her to just relax. Like, it's all going to work out. But I just didn't know, you can't predict what's going to happen in the future. And 20 years later, it feels like everything I ever dreamed of, I've achieved, and so much more. So much more than I could have ever imagined has happened. And I just feel so, so grateful. So if I could go back and tell teenage me, I'd tell her just to hold tight, and that when the time is right and that when I'm ready, everything you want's going to happen. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't have been so deflated, towards the end of that chapter, because I felt like I was just trying and trying and trying, and it just didn't feel like I was getting where I wanted. And then I took that time out, then this opportunity presented itself, and if I'd have said no, I don't know, I really don't know what my life would look like now. I'm so glad I said yeah, and I'm so glad my husband and people really close to me really encouraged me to go for it. I'm so grateful that I had that support network of people telling me I should do it, because it's just like given me a new lease of life for sure.
That's so nice to hear. I'm so happy for you that you feel
Oh,
this way.
thank you. Thank you.
That is a good transition to talk about now your time in Dream State.
Yes.
And so when you joined Dream State, you had a break of 8 years in between, something like that?
I think something like that. Maybe like 6 years
Mhm.
of just like not live music. I never stopped writing, which is why I've been able to deliver so much music to Dream State. I never stopped writing songs. I always like to just clear my head, and I end up writing like a song. But I hadn't played live for about 6 years.
And when you joined, what was your state of mind? Were you stressed? Were you excited?
My state of mind at the time, I think I'd actually just like gone through a huge burnout of trying to make it in the corporate world. I'd been in the corporate world for like 10, 15 years, trying to climb a ladder. When they approached me, I think I'd just say like a year before Dream State approached me, I'd gone through a really weird transition in my life where I felt like I was like hitting rock bottom. Like I felt like I was shedding a lot of like weight and a lot of like who I was. I just felt like the lowest I'd ever felt. But looking back now, I think that all happened to prepare me for like this new chapter that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize at the time that I had to lose and feel so much hurt to like get to where I am today. Like when I was going through like really sad times, I just felt really burnt out, really stressed, really low. Just don't think I was like living authentically myself. And I went through really low times where I really learned who had my back and who didn't. And I learned that a job isn't everything in the world that I'd made it to be. And then, like, literally about a year, like, say all that sadness was there. And then, like, it felt like 5 or 6 months later, this opportunity came. And I feel like I needed to go through that and heal.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this opportunity came, and I felt like really ready and really like I was obviously really scared, really nervous. I didn't quite know if it was gonna be the right decision, but something, like I say, friends and family told me to go for it, and something inside me said go for it. So I did, and I've never felt happier. Like I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm grateful that the opportunity came, and I'm also super grateful that I just like had the courage to go for it.
I think it takes a lot of courage and of strength also, even though you were burnt out and sad, to go out of it because it was still going a bit out of your comfort zone and to
Yeah,
start something new.
yeah, 100%. And it's big boots to fill. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, oh, I was just starting a new project. I was starting a band where, even though the band had had a hiatus themselves for like 4 years, it wasn't an active band when I joined. They'd had like a hiatus for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
It was still daunting because I kept thinking, well, what if no one likes me? What if, what if all the fans hate me? There's all that doubt of like, what if? And I'm a chronic overthinker, so I get real bad anxiety. So I did worry. And then I think we just like worked really hard in silence, and then we just dropped Taunt Me to the world. Obviously, naturally, you're going to get you're going to get your keyboard warriors that have their two pence to say. But as time's gone on, and I think people have come out and seen us live and seen the live show and how much energy we put in, the feedback now is that, like, her vocals are amazing, the show's amazing, so I think even the people that were on the fence to begin with have now sort of come over. So many emotions when I joined, so much fear.
Mm-hmm.
But now I feel like, again, like I said, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I don't feel like the new girl anymore. I mean, it's 4 years on. I've delivered 2 EPs, multiple singles, multiple videos, multiple tours. So I feel like I've really earned my stripes now. I know I'll never be CJ. I'm not trying to be CJ. I'm trying to be myself. And I think that's being well received with the audience that we have.
Yeah. Being like the new singer of the band can be pretty difficult, because I can even see it for myself. If any singer of my favorite band would left, I would feel very sad, and it would feel like
Yeah.
cannot be replaced. But
There has definitely been some people that feel very strongly, and they are right, they are well within their right to have those feelings. There has been some people that are like, I wish you all the best, but I can't continue to support this or whatever. And that's it, that's their, I respect that.
mm-hmm.
But what's been really nice is, as the years have gone on, and like I say, I think if you come and watch us live, I think people are like, oh, okay, this is like, the feedback is like, this is really good. So yeah, I'd highly advise anyone who's ever on the fence about New Dream State to come and see us live, and hopefully, the energy and the vocals that we give and the show that we try and put on for everyone, I like to think people leave feeling like really, really like happy with what we've done.
Yeah, like it can be even harder for women, because people tend to compare women even more than they do with men.
Yeah. First video we dropped with Taunt Me, I mean, people were making references to, like, I don't know, I think I was a little bit slimmer when I joined, and people were saying, some comments on YouTube were just horrible, like, oh, she's got a skeleton face, or just stupid things that, like, I've got really tough skin. Some of the comments I read, I just felt like were just really, like, pure nasty, and it was just, I think I was, like, definitely encouraged to stay off, like, YouTube and stuff for a while,
Mm-hmm.
just because I didn't want to, like, knock my confidence, because people are just mean. When they're behind a screen, they feel like they can say anything, but I'm sure they wouldn't say it to my face. So yeah,
Makes me think of, do you know the band Novelists?
I've heard of them. Yes.
And so before they had 2 men as singers, and now they have a woman.
Okay. And if I'm thinking of the same ones, like, she is stunning, and they are smashing it from what I see. They're like all over the world. They're doing way better
Mm-hmm.
than Dream State. And if anyone has said anything mean or horrible about that, then more fool them, because pretty sure I just saw they're like in Japan or something, living their best life.
Yeah.
So yeah, God, I would die to have, the America and the Japan and the Australia opportunities. So I just think if I was that band, I wouldn't even, I'd be like, look, who's laughing at me because I'm in Japan. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's people are silly. I think you've got to have tough skin in the industry. You
Mm-hmm.
really do, because everyone's going to have an opinion. You can be Hayley Williams and someone will hate you. So I think what I've learned, being older and a bit more emotionally mature, is that it's okay to be disliked. And I think if you're comfortable with being disliked, this whole ride is going to be much easier for you.
It's all a matter of taste, and not everyone can like you. And
Exactly. And I think the world would be so boring if
mm-hmm.
everyone just liked everything the same. So yeah, respectfully, I let people have, I'm fully aware people I might not be their cup of tea, and that's okay. I like coffee anyway, so.
Now for your Dream State songs, first of all, we're going to talk about Chin Up Princess, in which you sing no one hurt her more than she could ever hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And so, was there a moment in your life where that became really clear to you that you were hurting yourself?
Well, it's funny actually, just really quickly on Chin Up Princess, that is a song I actually wrote when I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
And I recorded it with another producer in one of my earlier bands. I actually recorded it with Dan Lancaster, who, he's now gone on to work with like Muse, Don Broco, Bring Me. I recorded that like so long ago. And when I joined Dream State, I really loved the song. And I remember saying to the lads, could we like rework it? I want to give it a new lease of life with the band. And the chorus is very similar. The chorus is almost the same. Some of the words have slightly changed, but I wrote that song when I was in like high school or like the end of high school. And I think that wasn't about me. Again, it was about a situation I could see playing out in front of me. And I was just writing it about it in like a poem format, because it was a real big downfall of like a queen bee, and I just sort of wrote about it in my own space, and it kind of came to life. Chin Up Princess. And I'm so grateful the band let me rework it all this time on, because it's one of my favourites to sing live, and I think the fans really like it as well. So to answer your question, when you've highlighted those words, I can't answer it in that respect, because it was like an outsider looking in. I was writing about something else.
From what I see, you seem like someone who really care about people and feels totally like something you would write for someone.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like I'm a huge empath. I feel really deeply. I feel really strongly. Sometimes it's a blessing and a curse, but I feel really passionate about people I love. And I definitely know I write about people I love. I know I can't save everybody. So sometimes if I write about it, it makes me feel like I'm like healing for them, but not. It's a bit deep, but again, it's hard to really get deep about that particular song just because I wrote it so long ago, really. It's still one of my favourites. I love it, and we're going to still keep playing it as long as we can.
Do you give yourself the same type of love that you give to people?
I try my best. I know it's something I've worked on. I think we can all say we've been guilty of, like, we can perhaps neglect, like for a big empath anyway, I almost feel like you can be guilty of putting other people's like thoughts and feelings before your own. But I've really learned over the last few years, especially, to prioritize myself a bit more and put my happiness first. But it's not something I find easy. I'm a bit of I'd much rather make someone else happy. So I think it's still something I'm working on, but I've got loads better at it.
I think when you feel good with yourself, this is also how you can help people better.
Absolutely. Honestly, like I said it early, I said it on social media a few weeks ago, like happy people aren't hating. And that's what I've really learned the last few years. Like I feel really happy. Like my life outside of Dream State is like beautiful. I have a lovely husband, family, beautiful dog, great friends. I get to do a job I love. I just feel really privileged to live my life. So Dream State isn't like the only thing in my life that's good. It's an added bonus. And I feel like now I'm older and I'm a lot more at peace with myself and other things, I just feel like so much happier. And then I think that projects out to other people. And all I know for a fact is if you're happy in yourself, you're not putting people down, you're not like judging, you're not hating on people. And I noticed that the people that have a lot of negativity to say, or a lot of people that just want to bitch or gossip all the time, they're probably not very happy in their own life. And we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah.
in some respect. But as I've got older, I just don't have the energy to like. If I'm going to see my friend and I haven't seen her for ages, I'm not going to sit and talk about other people. I want to just enjoy the company of my friend while I can, because now we're older, trying to get something in the diary is mental.
Yeah, I think those people are just projecting what they are feeling to other people.
Yeah, 100%. And don't get me wrong, we all have bad days. Like, we
Oh,
all
yeah.
can have a bad day, but yeah, I'm really just trying to like just enjoy this chapter of my life. I don't know how long it's going to be here, so I'm just enjoying the ride, taking every opportunity that comes, and just want to look back at this when I'm like 60, if I'm lucky enough to live that long, and just feel like that was a really cool chapter of my life.
Now, what do you think has changed the most in the way you write songs now that you have also evolved, matured?
I still write really sad, like not sad, but like I think I'm a big emo at heart. So when I
Hmm.
write, I know that a couple of members have made comments like, could we write a happy song? But I just find it really easy to write about like sad things, or like not
Hmm.
just sad things, but like for me, Dream State has been like a big free therapy. Like if you would go to a therapist, it would cost lots of money to write down, pen to paper, then record it in a booth about my thoughts and feelings. I think it's been really like cathartic, if that's the right word. I
Hmm.
just feel like a sense of like it's brought me a lot of peace to get out a lot of things in my head onto these tracks.
So you are feeling good, but still, we all have our bad days, and so you're writing about it and you just let it out.
Yeah, and even though you can move on from something, you don't always forget things. So, for me, even though I feel like I'm in the best place I've been since I can remember, I can still very comfortably go back to like places in my life that I perhaps wasn't, and then it's quite easy to just like write from that perspective.
One last question about something that you wrote. So, in Bittersweet Scars of My Past, which is one of your latest songs,
Yeah,
you wrote, "It's like running through the sea, got the current pulling back at me." Are
yeah.
you talking about the past pulling you sometimes?
Sometimes I feel like, say, like with music or certain elements of my life, you feel like you keep giving it 150%, and it's like you get so far and then you get pulled back. If you
Mm-hmm.
imagine like running through the sea, it feels quite difficult to run through the sea because the current is pulling you back. So it's a real uphill battle to get to where you want to be. And I just feel like it was me sort of verbalizing how I feel. So like I'm trying to get somewhere, but then you just constantly get pulled back. But you're trying to run through it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like a difficult journey. And it's not just about music. It can be an any, you can, anyone can listen to that and relate to it in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think I was writing it about where I am now, and feeling like sometimes I feel like I take 3 steps forward and then a step back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the never ending cycle of this music industry. It's just like a constant grind. You've got to keep going, keep giving more and more.
But do you also manage to sometimes look at the bigger picture and realize how far you've come?
God, yeah, God, absolutely. Like I write about that as well quite a lot in my songs. But yeah, 100%. I'm under no illusion that what we've achieved in the last 4 years, some bands have never done in like 10.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't take a second of this for granted. But it's also still okay to be aware that it feels like very hard work to get to where you want to be.
So you mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, but you also have your own company where you do consultancy for bands, when you also do singing classes.
Yeah, vocal features, ghostwriting, DJ sets, content, merch.
All
It's
of it.
like got quite a lot of umbrellas off it. But yeah, Jessie Powell Music is my company. I've been live for nearly 2 years. I come from like a sales background, right? And I've always worked for like big corporate giants. And I just, again, if you'd have told me 5 years ago, one day, Jessie, you're going to have your own company and you're going to be teaching singing and you're going to be managing other bands, providing like business strategy and singing for other people's music, I just never would have believed that. So, yeah, so grateful, so grateful for my company and how it's going.
Thank you very much, Jessie, for this conversation. I really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. And me, thank you so much for having me.
And what's next for Dream State and for you now?
Oh gosh, so much is going on. It's really exciting stuff going on for Dream State at the moment. The biggest thing we have coming up that I can talk about is we are heading out on tour in about 4 weeks' time. I've been counting down forever. We're back out on tour across Europe and the UK with a band called Solence, and I'm just so excited to get back out on tour. So that's what we've got coming up, and we'll also be playing Collision Festival on April the 11th. We're headlining Collision Festival, so we're really excited about that. First show of 2026, and we have also got a Bloodstock debut this summer in August. So I'm very excited to play Bloodstock. It's been on my bucket list. So yeah, some really cool things coming up for Dream State. I'm very excited.
So once again, thank you very much, Jessie.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
And for everyone listening, go listen to Dream State wherever you listen to your music. Follow them on Instagram to be aware of all the dates they are going to play. You can also follow me on Instagram at Into the Cave Pod. You can like, comment, subscribe, anything that helps. I will talk to you again next week with a new guest. And meanwhile, be kind to yourself. Bye.